So yeah, out on a trip with good old Gary, my best friend from uni, Gary. If you remember from the name roulette, Gary's the name we've chosen for him for future stories. If he's mentioned, he will be Gary. Eventually, we'll probably be able to put together who's who from all the stories, but for now, Gary will stay, I was about to say synonymous, will stay anonymous. So yes, me and Gary, we'd got high and we thought, you know what, Gary, the thing is, I love to walk. I can walk for fucking hours. I don't know what it is, I can't run for shit. Like, I'll be running for a couple minutes, be out of breath, don't want to run again. But when it comes to walking, I could do a walkathon with ease. I love walking. That 5K shit, do that for breakfast. Walking is calm. And I've never met anyone until I met Gary that can walk the same amount of time, like for the length and the same amount of duration for me. So me and Gary, we used to go on walks. And when I mean walks, we would literally like start like London, then end up in fucking like Canterbury. We would go on a walk and back like a good hour and a half each way. So one time we got home, we said, should we go on this new route? Because behind our uni, there was a route that we like, no one knew where it went. It went to like the chemistry lab or something, or around the back, like, but it was one of the privately owned houses by the uni. So we went up that way, walking down the thing, you know, high, not giving a shit. And we got to a certain point where we realized there's a village or something over there. I looked at Gary, I was like, can you see that? And he was like, yeah, do you want to go down there? I was like, yeah, of course, let's go. So we went down to this village, and in this village was like, there was a few kind of things that you'd normally see, like a tiny NatWest, a tiny, just some like normal stores like a Wilkinson's. But then there was all, you know, them one that's like only like 3 actual retail stores have managed to make it onto like the set of land. Like the rest of them were like Johnny's Butchers, like Margaret's mayonnaise, like they were all individually owned shops by like older people. So we saw a fruit shop. Obviously Gary was high and Gary wanted a lot of fruit, so I said to him, why don't you just get it from over there then? Because obviously we hadn't found a shop for ages because we'd gone on this long went to like this countryside part. And he was like, yeah, let's get some fruit. So we went in, and I don't know if it's because we were high, but I don't think it was. I think this guy genuinely spoke a different language, because we went to the front and all I understood was the fruit. Gary said, how much is this? He was like, bananas, how do you say a pound? He kept saying something incredibly fast, and then Gary said, I want cherries. So the guy literally got a little scoop for cherries and was like, how do you say cherries? £1, £3. No. And then Gary just nodded and said, yeah. So this guy filled up a bag of cherries. Now, I think he put a couple kilograms of cherries in, because this bag, because at the end of it, the guy was like, £9.40. And then Gary just looked at him and just gave him the £10 note. And then I was just like, you know, you just spent, it was a tenner on cherries. And literally the bag, when he was walking home, one of his shoulders was just leant down because of how heavy the bag was. And he had to eat half of the weight of the bag just to walk it back. It was literally the most pointless shit. And I honestly would love to go back and hear that guy again, because yeah, he was a trickster. He was like fucking Loki.